Hi, welcome to another video on interpreting ancient wisdom. Many people see Genesis as purely a creation text and they miss some of the important messages that it contains. So let's take a look at that together. I think many people have come to see marriage as merely a contractual thing with the government. They have a piece of paper that tells them they're married. It's more of a property tax thing. I believe this couldn't be more wrong. It is in every way a spiritual union with deep and powerful meaning. A marriage isn't broken when the government issues another piece of paper, a divorce decree, but when it's broken in spirit by the husband or wife. Adultery would be an example. In my opinion, marriage truly is the gateway to heaven, and I think this is outlined for us in Genesis. There are two accounts of the creation of human in Genesis, which has led to some debate about the meaning. But what this does do is gets us to take a closer look. When God forms the first human, Adam, from dust, it isn't particularly clear whether this human is male or female. It's up to interpretation, but I don't see how it can be male if females haven't been made yet. God hasn't thought to do that. So in what meaning is he male? In parts of the Jewish Talmud, the first Adam is seen as comprising of both those entities, male and female. He's neither one nor the other at this point. Might seem like a trivial distinction, but I think it's very important. Adam becomes male because something was removed from him. This being in early Genesis that sits with God has this amazing relationship with him. They exist perfectly in paradise until something happens. Something is taken from Adam, and woman is formed from that. So in essence, the being of Adam has been split in two. That interesting first human that coexists perfectly with God is now something else. It has been split in two. Marriage is described in the Bible as making man and woman of one flesh. Apart, they are something less and have to leave paradise. Together, they are something more powerful that can exist on a permanent basis with God. In the Gospel of Philip, we read the following. If the woman had not separated from the man, she would not die with the man. This separation became the beginning of death. Because of this, Christ came to repair the separation. This is very profound, as it puts marriage as the main reason that Jesus came, to repair that sacred union. And here we see that the disciples believed that one flesh was a metaphor for unity, a reuniting spiritually of man and woman, as they were in the very beginning. And in the Gospel of Thomas we read, when you make the two into one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, then you will enter the kingdom of heaven. What I think this means is, when a man truly loves his wife, accepting and not criticizing her feminine nature, and when a woman truly loves her husband, accepting his male nature, then the two will become one flesh, and together they can become the original being, at one with God and able to live in paradise. So marriage is so much more than a government-authorized relationship. It's a way of rejoining with God and entering paradise. Another important lesson from Genesis involves the role of a man within the marriage. When it came to not eating the forbidden fruit, the original instruction was given by God to Adam. The serpent targets Eve specifically. However, she did not receive the command from God, but from Adam, her husband. But it seems Adam was there during the talk with the serpent, as Genesis 3:6 says. She also gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate. Which very much sounds like Adam was right there by her side. In any case, this doesn't excuse Adam, who had after all been told directly by God that he should not do this. I think it's apparent that Adam failed in his duties as a husband. He failed as a leader, and ultimately he failed to save Eve from herself. Men focus a lot on physical threats to their family, the protection of their wife and children. They will buy a firearm, they will take taekwondo lessons, they will work out of the gym to get stronger, and they remain very vigilant of physical threat. However, physical threats to the family are incredibly unlikely. For most people, this is simply not going to happen, and that's a good thing. But what about other threats? Something that can threaten all families, and is not a remote possibility, but in fact a certainty at some point, is fear, depression, and despair. Everyone will be hit by this at some point, and men often forget that their primary duty is as a spiritual protector. I believe a man was always and is responsible for being the spiritual guide of his family, for giving them a strong foundation of faith and belief, so they can stave off the ravages of depression and anxiety. But how can a man do this if he is not clear in himself what he believes, if he is not spiritually founded within his own heart? And ultimately, I think this is the main lesson of Genesis. A failure of leadership by the husband can lead to dire consequences, destruction, and removal from paradise. A man who has no spiritual foundation leaves his family vulnerable and open to attack by despair, depression, and fear. As always, thank you for watching.